It's computer. Okay, again, our topic for today will be focusing on writing business correspondence. If you have read the introduction or the heads up part of your Schoology account or in module 2, now you can find in there the reasons or the briefer about what business correspondence is and what's the significance of this particular correspondence nga ano magpakialaman tani in our lives, because little did you know that we are engaging in business, no? Even in asking information from because you are the business manager of your class, you want to buy some clothes, ano yan tawag dyan, yung linen ba yan tawag yan, mga punji diha dito, you're going to inquire about the price, then you're writing, right mangyod, you're writing a letter uh, addressed to or the manager, then that constitutes no, business correspondence. Okay. You might even find the need to write a business correspondence in your life as student. Of course, not just a requirement, but in other dealings, which include a business related aspect. Now, in your activity number 1, I ask you to reflect upon 2 questions. The first one of which is, what do you think are the workplace situations wherein there is a requirement of a worker to write a business correspondence? I want to ask from you, Yasmin. What are these business situations? By the way, today we will be spending the entire period for oral recitation. Though in doing this one, I will be just introducing to you to the concept, and when I ask you to elaborate on the same, and that will be an oral recitation. Okay, in your activity, what have you answered on this part? What do you think are these workplace situations wherein you're asked to write a business letter?
Wait, sir. The workplace situations that necessitate an office worker to compose business correspondence are those in which they need to disseminate information or communicate.
Disseminate information. In what context is that? For example, if you
like
are
in interacting in any organization, sir, or
interacting
like
in an organization. So you really have to write a business correspondence, but can you just relay it orally? Like, why can't we do that?
Sir?
So you really have to write a business letter rather than relaying the message or cascading the message orally.
For me, sir, it's...
Versus for you. Go on.
Can you repeat again the question, sir?
So you're saying that in a workplace situations include, but not limited to, workplace situations wherein you are going to write a business letter includes that instance wherein you are going to cascade or disseminate information, right? So you have to write a business letter for that. But why write a business letter when you can cascade or disseminate information orally? What's the significance of business letter?
For me, sir, if I were to write a business correspondence, it is more easier for me to communicate because there are times, sir, that
easier for you to communicate. Okay,
go on. I have lack of communication skills in talking them personally, interacting them personally, sir.
Okay, thank you. That's good. That's a good answer. Thank you. Apart from that, why do you really have to write a business letter in an organization in order for you to disseminate? I'm just going to expand on your answer. Information is that there must be a uniformity in terms of interpretation of the message you are cascading. Because if it is relayed orally, then interpretations might vary. Lahi na, ma-distort na ang message as it reaches to the bottom or to the grassroots level sa inyong company or organization. That is one of the advantages of coming up with a business letter that you're going to cascade to everyone in the organization. One instance is a memorandum in order for it to have a unified or uniform meaning. Okay, what do you think are the day-to-day situations? Okay, we're not in an organization. You as a student, Yasmin, you may be encountering instances wherein you are going to come up with a business correspondence in your daily dealings. Can you think of one? I'm still with you, Yasmin. It's pakyaw mo, mga questions.
Wait, any answer?
Yeah. About your we are outside now of yung workplace situations. We are in our normal yung life, no? Yung life as a student, my life as a teacher. Now, in your case, life as a student, what are these situations, or just give me one situation wherein you are compelled, not compelled, but maybe you're sige na lang, compelled to write a business letter.
By having voice to of concerns, sir.
Sorry? Oh, you are from other school. You transferred here in Ima in senior high school. Just let's just imagine that that is the situation. And then you need some documents.
I
For to be
would,
enrolled in IMA, you will be asking for these documents, right? Okay,
yes,
I'm
sir.
just answering it for you. Thank
All
you,
right,
Yasmin.
the concerns, sir. Concerns
Okay.
about.
When you are, thank you, Yasmin. That's good. And when you are going to enroll, for example, in EMA, let me go back to my example. And then you're going to, EMA requires you to submit some documents which include but not limited to your Form 138, right? So you will be requesting the same from that school where you are from, or the email will request such document for you. And that is one of the examples wherein we use business letters in our dealings as a normal being, normal person, abnormal person. Okay, now in activity number 2, I ask you to complete this matrix wherein you're going to evaluate before reading those business letters and the discussion for such in the delivery part. I ask you to evaluate or to guess, no, to have a guesswork as to the purpose, audience, content, format, and the clarity of the message of a business letter. And then I ask you also that after reading the discussion in the delivery part and perusing the examples I have provided in the resources folder, I ask you to go back to this matrix and complete the same, revisit, no? Revisit mo lang ito. And after reading, anong evaluation mo? Now let's take a look at the uh, the language. The language of a business letter. Kate, ay alternate tayo. Lalaki na naman. Mr. Gales. Oh, how would you assess or evaluate the language used in a business letter?
It must be formal, sir.
Must be formal. How would you characterize a formal language?
Kanang
If I ask you in English, you answer me in the same language. Lami. Wala extraordinary something. Ano.
kanang follows a rule, sir.
It follows a rule. What rule are you referring to? Sino yung nag-answer na si Yasmin? Oh, don't leave us hanging, Mr. Gales. You talk, no? Do not uh, let,
Follows a certain rule or a structure, sir.
do not read kasi. When you are asked to expound on something, you just tell us what you understand about the question. Okay? When you speak of a formal language, what characterizes a formal language as used in business letter? Sir, in informal language, we used to use slang, mga tawagan ng mga ganyan, slang and other mga jargons. So if
Lack
it
of
is used in informal language, in informal letters, then the contrary of it or um, the opposite of it will be not using the same. Apart from that, Mr. Gales, what characterizes a formal language?
complex sentence, sir.
Complex sentence, you're going to write complex sentences
Ay, kanang,
in a business letter.
kanang,
Hindi mo naman akong pang notes niya ako ang fountain pen. Kahilas ba? Okay, Mr. Gales.
kanang not like how you
Uh,
communicate with your friends, sir.
Not like how communicate with your friends. How do you communicate with your friends pala? Give us an idea so that we will not be construing your answer in a different manner. When you communicate with your friends, the language you're using is what?
Kanang personal, sir.
Sorry?
Personal.
Personal language. So what is a personal language? If you keep on giving me vague answers, you will keep on receiving questions. Okay, I'll get back to you, Mr. Gales. Now, Miss Andayan, you answer my question. In terms of language used in a business letter, can you please describe to us or characterize um, or give us a perspective as to how language is used in business letters?
Sir, can you repeat the question, sir? Di mo nagkuhan manggod ang net na mo, sir.
Okay. And as to the language used in business letters, can you please give us an idea? Paano ba
Ah,
ginagamit ang language? Ano ba ang language dyan sa mga business letters na yan?
it should be written, sir, in a formal way, sir, by like it uses terms, sir, nga related in that field, sir, certain terms na related in nga field, sir.
In English, so you're going to use terms or jargon that are related in that field. So there is no universality in here, which is contrary to one of the characteristics of business letters, that it must be expressed in the universal language. Because you are saying that it must be packed with jargons.
It should be written, sir, in a way that the receiver will understand your purpose, straight to the point, sir.
Yes, straight to the point. Very good. What else?
And
If
it
you are
is
mad,
clear.
you're really angry at the person you are writing a letter to, and gusto mo mamutangin na dun sa letter mo, can you do that in a business letter?
I don't think so, sir.
Why
It
is
should
that so?
be because when you write a business letter, sir, one of its purpose is to sometimes to like when you want to work with other people, sir. So I
Mhm.
think it should be written in a form na both parties can get along, sir.
Can get along. Okay, thank you. I'm getting your point. So what are you saying is that we will be using diplomatic language in expressing our intentions or whatever message we're trying to convey in our business letter. Because remember, as the thank you, can put your microphone on mute.
Thank you, sir.
In a business letter, from the word itself, business, you're not representing yourself, you're representing the business you are in. Okay, the company you are in, or if it is an internal letter, then you are part of that culture in there that is being observed by that particular company. So it is not just about yourself. Okay, and of course, whatever you will be saying in your letter, if it is addressed outside of that company, outside of that organization, will reflect the culture of that particular organization. It will somehow affect the image of that particular organization, institution, or company that you are in. That's why one of the characteristics when you use insofar as language is concerned in business letters is that first it must have a universal language. Remember, business letters are structured. The structure is as much as possible is uniform. If you are looking at a memorandum used in the Philippines and the memorandum used in the United States or wherever part or whichever part of the world, you will find common elements, common structure because it is there. It share yung nga, characteristic of universality. As to the language, of course, if the form itself, structure is universal, no? Sorry, then you expect that the language you will be writing, especially if it is intended outside of the organization, is understood. Ay, so to, is understood by the one who will be reading it, as it must not be subject to multiple interpretations insofar as yung mga message contained therein is concerned, no? Now, thank you, Ms. Handayan. Now, let us start um, defining what a business correspondence is. So I may use the term or interchangeably use the term business and office correspondence because they refer to one thing. It says here, and I think as seen in your module, that business correspondence or office correspondence refers to written messages that a person intended for a person or group within a professional setting. It also says here that the writer would like to be formal and that the writer has to be formal and professional. Now, in the normal course of things, business correspondence is usually or normally used in an organization between the employers and employees. But you cannot discount the fact that we are also making use of these business correspondences in dealing outside of that organization. Okay. Now here, since our definition includes a phrase used by professionals or used within a professional setting, may a non-professional write a business letter? Because I was prompted yesterday with an answer that business letters are used by professionals alone. Now I'm going to ask you a question. May a non-professional individual write a business letter? Mr. Lemente,
Yes, sir.
why is that so? Why?
Naman tay right tanan sir nga mag-address og concern sir.
Kasi pasabutan na yung mga story. In English, you have the right. So you're referring to the right
To
now.
address-
Which particular right?
Concern sir. To address
Concern?
concerns sa
Address
company.
concern. So you're telling me about your right to freedom of speech. Is that what is this discussion all about?
Oh, sir.
Just go back to the very simple question. May a non-professional write business letters? If you are familiar with the business letters, I have enumerated in the delivery part, which includes your recommendation, apology, your demand letter, acknowledgement letter, inquiry, request, etc., etc. Your answer is no, right?
Yes, sir.
Why is that so?
Ay, kuan sir, yes. Pwede makakuan sir, maka-address
I
og
because
maka-anog letter.
okay, why is that so? Why yes?
Pwede lang siya limited sa mga client sir or businessman sir.
I'm sorry. The definition says at least not the definition itself, but one of the purposes or one of the functions of business letters or nature of business letters is that they are used in a professional setting. They are written by professionals. So since that is one of the definitions I gave you, I am asking you now if non-professionals can write business letters. Hindi ka pa professional. You're just a layman. Can you write business letter?
Yes sir.
Why?
Pina example sir kay sa ano, business sir. Na
Mhm.
experience ni mo ilang service sir. So maka express kag own thoughts nimo sir about ana.
So when you express your own thoughts, okay, thank you. Of course, yes, no? The professional as a word used in defining business correspondence is used to refer to the letter itself, to the correspondence itself. It must be professionally done, not the literal professional person, no? Professional being na nang graduate of college na a degree na imong professional is the sole person who is allowed to write business letters. If you're going to look at this here, what I've included in this slide, can included but not limited to clients, customers, managers, agencies, suppliers, and then business personnel. In the example I gave you earlier, if you're writing to ER, inquire about the price of certain products, and then you're not a professional, you can do that. That is still a form of business letter. Okay, but in asking or inquiring about the prices of these products, the letter itself must look professional. It must not be some sort of personal letter wherein beshi wap mo dito ang manager, beshi wap tagpili yung kuan tela diha. Okay? Regardless of your relationship with the person to whom you are intending to write the letter to. Okay. Read this one, Catherine. What differentiates a business letter from that of a personal letter?
The main thing that differentiates a business letter from other letters is that a business letter is a legal document. The writer can be held liable for anything written in the letter.
Okay, class. You have to qualify this definition here. This is given by the University of Colorado, or I think not University of Colorado, but Colorado State U. Okay, you have to qualify because it is not a yardstick. No, it is not an inflexible definition or differentiation of a business letter to that of personal letters, because here it when it refers to business letter as a legal document, it is only limited to some business letters, or at least to as a common ano niya, characteristic. Example niya, nag-promissory note ka dyan, magbabayad ka ng tuition uh, by the end of the month. That could be used in court because it is a legal document. A demand letter, it is an example also of a legal document. I'm just touching on one aspect of a business letter uh, as opposed to personal letter. Later on, we will be discussing other differences of business letter to with that of other letters, including personal letters. Now, if you look at the format, I have provided there three formats for you in your module. What are these three formats, Miss Catherine? Very common format in letters.
The
Catherine,
intro. Sorry, sorry. Is it the intro? Body and conclusion, sir.
it's not. The format. I will give you one, the block format. What are the other two?
The modified block, sir, and the signature block, sir.
The?
Signature.
Is that what I, ano, wrote in your module? Okay, what is a block format pala? Can you please give us a characteristic of the characteristics of a block format? Mm.
Sir, in your what you have provided, sir, in our module, sir, format is the easiest to remember because you only need to start writing or typing all the lines of each part from the margin, sir.
That refers to which format?
Block format, sir.
Block format. In a block format, can you please give us a picture of what how a block format looks like? Tanang kuha nasa man sa right left. Is it
Sa,
indented? Yes or no?
sa right, sir.
Sa right. So dito tanan.
Sa left side, sir.
Left side.
Opo.
Indented, no?
It is intended, sir.
Indented. It is? Indented?
Yes, sir.
Indented. What is indented pala? Oh, na nag-chat tanawa. I answer na.
Okay, kuya man to, sir.
Is a block format na letter indented, class? Catherine. Catherine na ha. Indented ba?
Yes.
Yes. The indented ang block format, no? Mura siya block. No? Okay. Walay na indent diha nga linya. Okay? Now, what are the 6 basic parts of a letter, Miss Catherine? Business letter.
The six
Basic
basic parts,
parts.
sir, are heading, inside address,
What is the inside address? Is it the address of the recipient or your address?
the address of the recipient, sir.
Okay, continue.
The salutation, body, complimentary close, and the signature block.
Mhm. Okay, thank you. You can put your microphone on mute now. Okay, later on we will be discussing about the purpose and audience of a business letter because I think it is cogent for us to differentiate the purpose and audience, no? Kasi sa business letter ug sa personal letters because they really vary, you know. And then we will now be looking at some forms or some examples of business letters. Okay, Mr. Joshua. Josh. Okay. Let's start with audience. Dapat wag pa ko na yung ipakita. Sige lang. Babae tao man. Lalaki na said. AJ! Ayan. Tell us about the audience in a business letter.
Business letters are written to an individual, an authority, an office, an institution, or a company. Personal letters are written to friends, family, relatives, and acquaintances.
Expound on it. because they are both written to persons. But what sets the business letter apart from that of a personal letter?
In the business letter, sir, uh there are going the contents of the letter are about the concerns of the the concerns of the business or and the works only, while on personal letters the content the text is all about the happenings of their family or their support or any other personal uh, feelings.
Mhm. Of these two here, thank you. Of these two here, which one detaches relationship? Yung tawag natin yun. Or which one detaches intimacy?
For me, sir, it's business letters
Okay. Okay.
because when it when it comes to business, it's what matters is about the work and the cooperation alone and not the personal and not the personal endeavors.
Okay, thank you. Very good. Let's move on to the next. The nature. Okay. The nature of a business letter. Angela, read and expound.
A business letter is impersonal and universal in one. Personal letter's orientation is personal. A business letter is impersonal in a way that, like what you said earlier, it is only open to one interpretation and it should be clear and concise. Additionally, it should be straight to the point so that it will not be confusing to the audience, while personal letters is personal or it could be informal and it could be about your own life.
Okay. How about if I am your employee? You are going to, and I am also your friend. I've been absent or been skipping uh, or being late, no? I've been late for like panagsara jud ko mo on time sa atong opisina. So can you still write a memo against me? How? If you will write one.
If I will write a memo, I will not
Yeah.
be
Can you
harsh.
write a memo against me? Yes or no?
No.
But I am your subordinate. You are my boss. And my behavior pertains to my work for which you are overseeing.
Oh, okay. So I can write a memo,
Yes.
but in a way that not I will not relate it to personal relationships and I will be professional with it.
So the memo is intended only for me about my behavior, right?
I will also address the memo not only to you but also to other employees
But
that
other employees are reporting to work on time. How could you address them as well? Ah,
if
question. Can you write a memo against a person only, not including others?
um, memos are direct attention and it will help resolve a problem, and through this I think it will resolve the problem of my employee being late.
Mhm. So you can direct it to one person only.
Yes.
Yes, correct. You can one because if you reprimand somebody within your company, within your organization, you're not going to reprimand everybody, but just that particular or concerned person. Now, if it is intended for a person only, one individual, does it share or does it have somehow a touch of personal aspect in it? Or are you going to constrain your memo in a business kwan lang yun siya? Strictly work related, business related.
I will be strict with this and I will not, like what I said earlier, I will not have personal, I will not attach it with personal
Okay, thank you.
relationship.
Correct. Now, I'm going to advance to the yung sa enrichment part of your lesson, I think so. So how would you now balance? It is not an academic question, but what do you call this? Yung sa affective question. How would you now balance your relationship with me as your employee at the same time a friend when you write such a business letter against me? Yeah, still with you.
Um, for me, the business letter, I will keep it professional, but as a friend, I will also personally message you privately and I will suggest or I will ask you to become more responsible as a worker.
Okay, thank you, Angela. Okay, class. The nature of, as what Angela said, the nature of a business letter is impersonal and universal. No. Now, how do we qualify a universal business letter? No, universal in one, because as what I've said earlier in the early part of the discussion, it is universal because sakit sa mata. It is it must be having one interpretation by whoever reads it. Okay? And generally, the nature of a business letter is business related. It relates to work. It relates to your function as a supervisor, as an employee, as an employer. It does not touch in the aspect or in the spheres of personal or intimate relationship between you and your employer if you have one, or among yourselves as employees. That is so different with personal letters because apart from the nature of personal letters, kaya nga pinitawag siya na personal because sa language pa lang yan na walang break dyan sa personal letters. You can say anything in there, no? You don't have to be cautious about having a diplomatic tone in personal letters. So the nature itself is very personal. And usually, personal letters are exercised within people which share or who share intimate relationships. Okay? Ikaw sa mong best friend, ikaw sa mong mama, sulatan mo personal letter. Yes, mga thanks letters of, ang mga thank you letters ng sining mother. So, easy to understand ang nature. Business related ang business letters na makita rin sa term. Okay? Now, as to the purpose, Miguel,
Sir,
what do you think is the purpose of a business letter?
a business letter is written for exchanging various business-related information.
Mm-hmm.
Personal letters' purpose is to exchange personal or
When
family-related
okay,
information.
when you speak of business related information, what are you referring to in here? Is it the literal business?
Business. No,
Or if I qualify my statement, the literal business means yung trade and commerce?
no, sir. Business-related information, sir. Example, sir, in a company, sir, you can write a business letter as a
What business
supervisor,
letter?
sir. If ang subordinate mo, sir, is murag lacking work ethic good, sir. Like you
So
can
what letter are you going to write in that case?
business letter.
All of these are business letters. They're the forms of business letters, memos, or at least, no? Apology letter. So mag-apology ka rito. Ikaw na.
Ano, sir? I think complaint letter, sir.
So you will be writing a
You're gonna,
complaint against your subordinate? Is that it?
I don't know, sir. Maybe you will complain to the Ano, sir? But I will just like what Nala said, sir.
He
I
will
will
be
communicate to him or her
first,
personally, sir,
personally.
to suggest
Okay, let me
something,
clarify
sir.
that later on. Sige, go. How about personal letters? The purpose,
Exchange personal or family related information, sir.
such
Um,
as
example, sir. Yuta. Like
about
you will,
what about Utah?
if the
Ah,
land
about Utah. You are in my property. I want you to um what do you call this? To pack up and remove yourself thereon in 5 days. So, ganun sulat mo sa pariente mo kay Utah man ka. Is that a personal letter? O
personal,
nakas
sir,
akong
because it
Utah.
is family.
Lakaw diha within 5 days.
Pero dili unta ka nang ako ang pasabot, sir, sa yuta.
Sama sa Utah
Like
there. Go.
example, sir, if namatay na ang imuhang ayun na na, sir, kay lain ka yung context. If ibaligya ang yuta, sir, tapos ihati, di ba, ng bayad, sir, sa magigsoon, so family.
Mhm.
So if kanang kung mag-write ka og letter regarding ana nga issue, sir, like ano, sir, like personal, family related, sir.
Diyan tayo magkakatalo sa binigay mo na examples. So what is the nature of that letter pala? Sige daw, tell us more about that letter. Because if you will be asking that I am now getting my share of my inheritance, that is not a personal letter. That is a demand letter, which is an example of a business letter. The one I gave you
Change ta,
earlier,
sir.
lakaw diya sa kong property, I will give you 5 days. That is a demand letter. So what is pala personal letter in the example you have given? How would we write
Good
a
na lang kung
personal
topic, sir, ay na
letter?
lang yuta, sir.
Dito ta sa Utah.
Sir, it's hard, sir, I can't defend.
You can. Actually, it's easy, no?
See.
How to write a personal letter. Sige daw, sa Utah, gusto lang kanimo ako. Example ha, gusto ko nimo palakon sa imong yuta because we've been friends tapos for a long time tapos gitugtan lang ko nimo magpuyo di nga yuta tapos karon kay nag-away man ta palakon ako nimo. In business letter, you will be writing to me a demand letter asking me or demanding my removal from that property. Now, if you are to write a personal version of that letter, how would you ask me?
Ano, sir? I think I get it now, sir. You will include in business letter, sir, it is said that it is formal, sir.
Mhm.
And when I research, sir, what is formal and informal, sir, formal rag dili gina encourage mo gamit og I or we, sir, so it is not feelings, emotions, something, sir. So in personal, sir, I think we can use our emotions, sir, because it is usually concerns our personal matters, sir. Example, sir, ikaw ako friends ta.
O, katong example
Sir.
na diretso na, how would you write a letter?
Oh, would you write a
Sige,
letter?
sige. Saan yung pagsulat mo? Sa imong
Informal,
message ako Sa imong
I think
pag-message.
I can use an informal language
O sige, what
approach,
is
sir.
that? Example.
Kung besh.
Nag-away to nag-besh-besh pa ka.
Sorry, mali. Ay, dili man away na unsa, sir, like. Sige, unsa na lang, like. Hello, my friend.
Hello, my friend. Okay. Go on, continue. Wala ko
Because
nakatawa sa mong answer. I'm just
But na dun.
laughing at the idea.
Focusad, sir. It is hard to defend you, manggod, sir.
Rebecca, we've been friends for 20 years now,
Yes,
and
sir, like that. We've been
I
friends
have
for
let
many
you
years. Yes.
construct your house on my property, but the needs arise that I humbly ask you to look for another, and ganyan na, mga very personal na.
Yes, sir. You're so right, sir.
Dahil po kayo mo yung kag-wrong ako may teacher din murag may insulto pud ko gamay. Ano naman ang
Yes,
mga
sir.
estudyante bisag
Because
mali na teacher, wala
100
naman gyapon na siya.
respect, sir.
Yes sir. Oh. Jesus, sige. Thank you Miguel Christie. Christie akong tawag sa mga mo na rehistro sa psychology. Okay, that's the purpose. Okay, the purpose is when you speak of business-related class, do not confine your thinking, your frame of thinking to just trade and commerce, like mga tanah presyo, pila wholesale or retail ari, but business-related meaning it concerns your official functions. No? Official function mo as a supervisor, as a teacher, as a principal, kana yan siya. So it concerns your work, your business, your organization, your company. That is the term business related functions. Dili sa ingon na literal business. Whereas in personal letters, you may be a subordinate in a company, but your boss will write you a personal letter because he's into you, char lang. A personal letter, he doesn't want to employ mga formal letters because basig ma-offend ka, may muhan ka. So personal letter lang siya, or personal message. Okay, that's the purpose. Now, when it comes to language class, I have partly discussed this one earlier, but I think Kate will elaborate it further for us. What now? What about now the language used in a business letter and that of a personal letter?
Language. A business letter contains no emotional or poetic language, whereas in personal letters, emotional, poetic, and sweet words are used to arrange messages. So in business letters, sir, it must be in a form of formal language, sir. It must be
Oh, let me go
uniform
back
and
to formal. What is that formal gid ay? Kanay na ako ang ginapangita pa kanina kasi pasabot yun formal ay.
formal language, sir. It must be your ideas are not complex, sir, and are straight to the point, sir. It must be the reader must easily gist your idea in your letter, sir.
So if
It's
I now ask if I now write a letter to express my discontent because I'm writing a letter of complaint kay ning palit ko rice cooker sa Yiwu, ang brand kay Lacoste rice cooker. Napagabot sa balay ning buto, hapit masuno ka mong balay. Lagot kay ko, lagot kay ko. Gusto ko mamutangin na sa ko ang letter. But this is I'm writing a business letter. So how would I use language? No, what language will I use in expressing my discontent and even anger?
you must express your idea, sir, in a term na respectfully, sir. You will like, for example, sir, na you will explain the problem and you may ask if there could be any solution to your problem, sir.
Okay, thank you for. I'm getting your idea, but I think the term is um, different among nahatag. So class, when you write a letter, a business letter, you use diplomatic language. When we speak of diplomatic language, these are neutral languages, no terms. Nga wala siya na express og super happy, super sad, super angry, or chill lang. Neutral lang siya. It just enough for you to express whatever you want to express, no, to the recipient. Okay? Whereas in ano nga yun sa personal, Kate?
In personal letters, sir, it could be informal language, sir, where you can express your own personal feelings, sir. Like you will ask them how they are doing, how they are doing this past few days, sir, and you may include like love letters, sir, your
Ooh,
attachment, sir,
love
to that
letter.
person, sir.
Okay.
It is personal, sir. It is your own feelings, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. I think these characteristics I have gotten these from Kwan. Very nice kayang explanation. There are so many aspects of business letter and personal letters that you can refer to. I think I will be sending to you later the link. No, nice kayang pagka-differentiate. That's why I'm sharing it with you this morning. Now, apart from the business letter, yung sinabi kong diplomatic language, you have to be straightforward. And of course, the terms, contrary to what I think Kate said, being complex with your terms, no, it will not help. Because remember, there must be a characteristic of universality in writing business letters. And the use of complex terms will not constitute or may be uh, detrimental to achieving that purpose or to that nature, because others may have a varied interpretation of that term. And what else, apart from being diplomatic, you have also to be courteous, no, in your letter, business letter. Whereas, of course naman, sa personal letters, language, mura siya kuan guys, sa free form, no? Ang business letters. Kung gusto ka mang kuan diya, kay sukay kasi mong uyab, kay kamo pa nag-cheat siya, o di bang, imo na diya, gusto nimo. No. Takboy ka. Ano to? Sama na mo yung kuan dito. Cheater ka. Sa pa? Kapon ka. Kapon ka. So, iwan na diha. Unfiltered, kumbaga pa, in short, no? But of course naman, we don't want others to hate us, no, because of the letters that we sent them. No, karon nindot pa kayo musulatan na, but later on regrets follow. Now, when it comes to salutation class, in business letters, you use formal, no? Yung mga reference to these persons. Atong letter kipakita sa inyo last week ba? Katong Dean, Mr., Mrs., or if you're not comfortable of using Mr. Miss, kaya di ka sure kung usay pa-refer ni ma'am siya kay tumbulata man, Miss ba or Mr. So, pangalan na lang. Okay? Pangalan lang diretso. And of course, break muna tayo. 1 minute. Okay, 1 minute is over. But you're not you're not restricted from using dear, no? Dear in a business letter. You can use that one, dear. Di ba? Itong letters akong ipakita, may dear man doon. Okay? But what I am in personal letter, personalized, no? Kasi tawagan niyo, eshiwap. Eshiwap, dear, eshiwap. Sa pa na, duy, day. Pwede ka magamit na. So, but ang universal, katong, dear. Sa business letters. Okay. Napdagang pag wala ka receipt, no? Atong ipa-expounding kuan. Kinsa last nag-answer sa ko si Kate. Lalaki na sad ta. Brent. Academy ba na? Brent Brent International School.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What is a recommendation letter? What is its purpose?
Like, it suggests, it involved suggestions, sir.
It involves suggestion. I suggest that you skip from the class ganyan. Recommendation. What? Do not give me a general statement. You're always
Like,
qualified.
it recommends a certain company to be part of company or organizations, sir.
You are recommending a company to be part of an organization. Please be clear with your answer.
Ikaw answer ka ng
Tumay ka ng kapon ka.
kana nga letter ay that letter is recommending a certain
monkey.
kuan sir ng
Okay. Okay, sure. Chelsea. Yes, Brent.
Saan sa na sir recommendation sa letter na sir?
Dili. So itong istorya, Andre.
Saan sa kana
De,
recommendation letters
Mhm.
recommendation letters sir kay mostly kanang recommend siya sa ka certain kanang kanang suggestion sir sa kana nga butang or kanang institution.
Kada ka magkana, uy. Kana nga butang, kana nga institution, okay. So you're trying to say that it tries to suggest an what action shall be rendered, no, against an individual or an institution. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Apart from that, what are the other forms of recommendation letters? Like mag-TikTok ta after.
Example sir kanang sa kanang nagpalit kag
Nagpalit ko
guba
sa
nga
man.
guba nga butang tapos
Guba nga butang, sige daw.
himo kag you write recommendation letter sir for
I will write a
to suggest
recommendation letter to my colleagues that you buy this guba na butang.
dili sir
Sa
kanang
man.
about complaints mo sir tapos imong
It's not
recommendation.
recommendation. It's a letter of complaint. Because the purpose is to complain and you just attach a recommendation as to what action or course of action does the concerned person have to take. Mr. Brent International School. Did you read?
Sir,
Okay.
wala
Basahasa, I will get back to
sa
you. A
modules, sir.
recommendation letter, you tell me about the different forms of recommendation letter, not just recommending a person, but as you said earlier, recommending a course of action that shall be taken by the person concerned. That is still a recommendation letter. Okay, let's move on to the acknowledgement. I will get back to you, ha? I will not yet discuss recommendation letter. Mag-research ka muna dyan. May Google ka, may internet ka. One click lang yan. Chelsea, di ba? Okay, Chelsea, tell us about acknowledgement letter. When are we going to write acknowledgement letter? And what is acknowledgement letter in the first place? To whom it is intended?
Acknowledgement letter is a letter that is known as a receipt. It is written to express acceptance or prior correspondence, sir. Like for example, sir, in I like for example, sir, in a business related, ano, sir, when the employer, sir, wait lang, sir.
Sure, take your time. When the snow is falling down. Si basahasa. Basahan na yung mga ibasa lang sa mga para at least ma-confirm sa tanan. So acknowledgement, yes, you're correct. It may serve as a receipt, no, that you have received whatever is sent to you. But apart from that, serving as a receipt, what else could we use acknowledgement letter for?
Aims to build a good relationship with the sender, sir.
How? No. I'm asking other for the purpose. What else? Sinabi ka nga pa, oh, gideliveran ti ka Chelsea og kuan, 50 ka buok nga isaw, kaya na malayga mahog isaw sa baywalk. Tapos nagsulat ka sa kog acknowledgement letter na I have received on September 7 the 50 pieces of isaw you sent me through LBC. Oh. Now, apart from that purpose, what else?
To, sir, complain about an issue, sir, about the product that you received, sir.
So, complaint na tayo, hindi na tayo acknowledgement.
To, sir, sorry, sir. To raise an issue, sir, or what? To raise an issue about the items that you received, sir. If
To raise
kung
an
naa man,
issue.
sir.
Okay,
Kung naa, sir.
you might be confused. You in a receipt letter, in an acknowledgement letter as a form of a receipt letter, you can stipulate therein the issues that you have with the product. For example, katong 50 ka isaw ako ang gisend sa imuha. Na-receive mo siya. So that's why you're writing an acknowledgement letter that you have received the isaw. But you found in the 50 pieces of isaw nga naay 5 nga wa na luto. So you are raising now your concern, the issue in that particular acknowledgement letter, which by the way, a receipt letter. No, you are just acknowledging, oh, nadawat na ako ning mga 50 ka buok na isaw, but I have some concerns about it. 5 ka buok wa naluto. Then you transmit that one. That is still an acknowledgement letter. No, gi-acknowledge lang nimo na kay nadawat nalay issues. That is one of the purpose. It serves as a receipt. No? But apart from serving as a receipt, plus dili gyud na siya mahimong complaint ha, ang acknowledgement letter. Lahi gyud ang purpose sa complaint. Apart from serving as a receipt that you have received a service, a product, or anything delivered to you, what else is the purpose? Oh, na kay kuan diha, na kay si James Ryan kay moha man siyang empleyado, kay CEO man ka siya kay director for finance, tapos nindot kayang performance. Can you write an acknowledgement letter? Chelsea?
Again, sir.
If James Ryan is your subordinate and then he is so good in his job, like he outperforms other individuals, other employees in your company, and then you want to thank him or you want to acknowledge his good performance or excellent performance, perhaps, can you write an acknowledgement letter?
No, sir.
Yes! You acknowledge his good deeds, his excellent
Yes,
performance. No.
yes,
It
sir.
is like a recognition letter. Kung imo na tong letter na recognition, you are recognizing that you are good in this company. That's why I'm acknowledging your efforts through this acknowledgement letter. But remember, the purpose is to praise yan, no? To praise. You can also use what? Memorandum in order for you to praise anybody within your company. Okay? Because memorandum is not just used to reprimand, to cascade information, but it also serves other purpose. What else? What are these other purposes? One of which is to recognize. But nevertheless, if you will be also using acknowledgement letter because you want it to be personal, no? Murag gikan gid sa imo dili lang memo kay pangit kayo ang misconception about memo. Murag um, from the boss perspective, leader's perspective, kung gini mo sayaha lang, intended for him. Acknowledgement letter is more kung ba customized kayo, no? At this acknowledgement letter. Thank you, Chelsea. So as what Chelsea said, that an acknowledgement letter may be used like a receipt. No, if you have received a product or whatever service or whatever is it that you're receiving coming from a different person, then you can write an acknowledgement letter in order for you to confirm that you have received, if any, no, these product services or anything. But remember, in acknowledgement, it is not always positive. As what has been pointed out by Chelsea earlier, that it could also contain a complaint, but not that the entire complaint siya, ha? Ang purpose mo lang is to acknowledge na nadawat nimo, but you are raising issues. If your purpose is to really complain and you are suggesting courses of actions for the person sending you the product or service to address, then you write a letter of complaint. Okay? It is not solely for acknowledgement shall not be confused with a letter of complaint. Now, when it comes to inquiry and request, isahan lang itong discussion na ito. I wanted to discuss on these two, Mr. Yap. What is a letter of inquiry? Nasa naman yung ba ano nag-off nag-camera? Buhi pa ta, galayaw ng baso.
Okay na, sir. Pwede na.
No.
Letter of inquiry, sir, is a letter written to ask a specific question or elicit information. So it is mostly used to ask about certain organization about mainly for in their systems sa ilang business, about kanang future plans, like from client with organization, about plans nila, sir, kanang mga ana, sir. Para
So to again.
ano, inquiry
Minute lang sa class
is
break,
a letter used
Roho
to
kay ko.
ask about information
Let's have
about
a 5-minute
organization.
break. Collect muna your thoughts, ano.
Gabi ka, sir. Sige,
Real.
sir, kadit lang, sir.
5-minute break tayo. Ike mga pick, oh. Okay, let's come back at 10. Pila, plus 5, 47 tron, 52. Kaya eh.
Hi, James.
Tabang mo ba eh?
Kung mo smile ka ron, James, butuhan ti ka niya.
Easy, Jude.
Hi, Josh.
Ang lakaw, Josh.
Kumusta ka, Josh?
I'm home.
Nag-inom kag butong, Josh.
How is your brother, Josh?
Hi, hi, hi. Ang balik na ta.
Hello, sir.
Ang katalogo na mo? Ang bedroom boys man ka, Mr. Yup. Okay, answer.
Ano, sir, inquiry type of letter is a letter written mostly to get information about to the other organization regarding and future businesses within the two organizations, sir. Or it could be either if you're a client and you're asking about an organization, you inquire, you write an inquiry letter to ask about some about information about the company in which you will take to account when you're going to do business with them, sir.
Mhm. How about request?
Request, ako gyapon, sir. Wait lang.
Ikaw man ang duha.
Request,
I-differentiate mo yan
mm,
kasi closely related din sila.
request is to request something, sir. Ask permission, favor or service, or straightforward siya, sir. You in request, you are already willing to be to be in tawag na, to participate in a business with that certain organization, sir.
What do you mean by
While in inquiry, you
participate
are
in the
still just
business?
asking, sir, for consideration to do business with them. Yeah.
Oh. So you're not expecting something from at least you can just ignore you in inquiry.
No, sir. Pero more on like inquiry kay
You are not yet into business like you're proposing something to them by asking information or so. That's
more
it.
like ano siya, sir, pag-ask of information para more
But I could also
take
ask
accounting mo na.
information in request. What differs now?
In request, it could be sa request kay more pwede siya within the organization ang imong gihatagag letter, sir. Request.
Within the organization, so I cannot write a letter of request outside of my organization.
You can also ano sa what difference is inquiries, sir, kay it's either client ka other organization or you're from an organization to other organization, while
Sa inquiry.
request kay it's the same but dungag ang ano pwede within, sir.
Si dugag within. So ang
Within the
inquiry,
organization.
ang inquiry, so I'm getting your point. You're saying that inquiry is only intended outside of organization. I cannot write an inquiry within my organization. Is that it?
Wala pa ka nakasulod kay mag-ask ka mag-inquiry ka kay mag-ask ka
I see.
mag-consider ka na
Bago yan,
mosulod ka, sir.
Okay, how about request? So within the organization. Sige, ako karon. Na ako sa IMA. I write a letter to Mrs. Chang asking if when will be the MCM Cup as based on the letter sent by MCM to her. So that letter is a request because it's within my organization, not inquiry.
Nag-gets na ako sa ano, ang inquiry kay information about request, it could be either a course of action, sir. Something like that.
Ang inquiry course of action.
Dili ang request, sir. Ang request.
Okay, you're hitting one point. How about inquiry?
In inquiry, kaya sir. Wala sir, ang inquiry kay you are asking information about.
It's limited to information
about the not sir, system. It can either be the system about their system.
That's information still.
Yes, sir. So information.
I'm helping you out. Be sure with your answer lang.
Yes, sir. Information,
Okay.
sir.
So most of the time, inquiry is used to gather information, but most of the time also request is used for someone to take a course of action, and more formal is request because yun nga, you may have already a pre-existing right in writing a letter of request at most instances. Example, magsulat kag letter sa ima kay mo graduate naman ka diri no sa email tapos dito na kag adu so nagkuan kag nag-request kag gusto kag recommendation letter from Mrs. Chanka because you're applying for a scholarship. Okay, you have already a pre-existing, yun, sinabi mo kanina, relationship. But more than relationship, you may have already a pre-existing right. For example, magkuhan kag Form 138, you have a right to secure a copy of that. So there may be a pre-existing right. Whereas in inquiry, most of the instances, or all of the, I'm not fan of using the term all because there are always exceptions to circumstances. But in inquiry, you may just be asking information. Walang mga course of action lang. Course of action lang. For example, you're writing katong issue karon katong they're asking for the SALN of President Duterte. They're requesting from the office of the president. So that's a express request. But if you will be asked, for example, your letter would say, can I ask, is it possible for me to have a copy of the statement of assets, liabilities, and net worth of the president? That is inquiry. Because you're just asking a question, yes or no lang tubag niyan. But if you're saying that I would like to ask for a copy, nakuha niyo ang distinction. Lisod ka ang kuan ka na siya na closely related kayo siya ang inquiry and request. But all you have to remember that in request is this usually takes a course of action that the recipient of that particular letter has to undertake. Okay, now quite different in this case is a demand letter because this is very authoritative. What is a demand letter? Kasi panatawag. Sheena, C. Dede, Sheena, C. Sheena. A demand letter. So demanda na, sir? Gitu.
It is a formal letter sent from one party to another party to resolve a problem. For example, sir, I borrowed 1 million to a
Sana
certain
all.
organization, sir. Tapos, I supposed to provide a payment in 1 month, sir. So September 9, so in October 9, in August 9, I borrowed 1 million. So in September 9, I should provide a payment. But 1 week nalapas na og 1 week and still there is no payment, sir. So the organization provide a demand. I sent a demand letter to me so that I will be notified that the
Just to
due date
notify you?
is also, sir, na kanang
You will be
yes,
compelled
sir.
really to pay. Ganyan, hindi na-notify lang. Okay. Now, is it necessary for the two parties? One is demanding, the other one to whom the demand is intended to have an existing obligation before a demand letter could be written. Dapat ba may existing obligation ka before a demand letter can be written? Yes or no?
Yes.
Correct. So I cannot write a demand letter without an existing obligation. Yes or no? On the contrary, no. Saan mo ka nag-yes mga ganina? No. No? Correct, no. How about this one? May utang ako sa'yo. It's due and demandable at the end of the month. That is September 30. Can you write a demand letter on September 23?
No, sir.
Why is that so? But I have already an existing obligation. Obligation ko sa'yo mo bayad eh. May utang ako sa'yo. May obligation ako. And you said kanina, Yes. I ask you, is it necessary that before we can write a demand letter, there must be an existing obligation? You said yes. Now I have an existing obligation, which is to pay, but it is not yet due. Now, can you write a demand letter?
No, sir, because the due date is not still, ay wala pa ang due date, sir. So, pwede dili pagkaana natin maka-pay.
Okay, thank you. Correct. Remember, you only write a demand letter when the obligation is demandable and due. Kano sa man na siya? Sa deadline, no? Or dito sa due date, kumbaga pang yung ginatawag ninyo, no? Due date. It is when you will be writing a demand. Ano sa man ang demand? How would you craft your language in a demand letter, Sheena?
Sir,
How would you craft your letter in a demand business correspondence?
ay, ano, sir, ka na?
Yung language mo. Anong language mo dyan? Is it some sort of humble? Is it some sort of courteous? Pwede magyapon sa courteous. Sige, let's eliminate courteous. Or is it authoritative?
Authoritative, sir.
Why?
Because you are demanding the other party to pay.
So,
So,
dapat authoritative. But I can ask also the other party without being authoritative. But why does it have to be authoritative in a demand letter?
So that the recipient, sir, will take action.
Okay, thank you. I'm getting your point. Now, class, a demand letter is written as what I've said earlier, if the obligation is already demandable and due. I know some of you will be taking up accountancy and you will have obligation on contracts law. I think sa second year ata ninyo or sa third year, mayroong obligations on contracts kayo. And in an obligation, before you can write a demand letter, there must be an existing obligation which is demandable and due. No? In the case, you have to be authoritative in your language because it is not just a mere letter. Okay, you are enforcing your right. Okay, nga nung na-delay mo na siya for some reasons, it could be intentional or not, but nevertheless delayed ang payment. And if it is delayed, maybe kung negligent siya, na siya intention to evade, no? Or kung intentional ang delay, pagbayad na siya intention to evade in realizing the obligation or making true of his obligation or her obligation. So in enforcing your right, you don't have to be, ikuan lang. Wait lang, nag-message, patay na open. Dili lang ka na puring i-atay, kredit lang, palubat na. I-badge lang, no? Dito lang, kukurukukuk. Mag-charge ako. Okay, thank you, Sheena. Kasi wala pa natawag sa boys. Josh! Letter of complaint in a bit. Kaya mag-charge pa ko. But remember, class, demand letter is not only intended for the collection of yung mga loans, no, mga utang. It could also be demanding your classmate to return your ball pen, demanding the school to release your documents since wala ka mang batal sa school, demanding your friend or kanang imuhang kwandiha nga nang squatter sa inyo ang yuta to remove himself therefrom. Okay, now how about letter of complaint? What is the nature of a letter of complaint? Josh.
So the letter of complaint is when you express your problem or your dissatisfaction about a certain product or service.
Mm-hmm.
Sir.
Very good. Masa pa? Anything about letter of complaint that you know of?
You shouldn't although there are times wherein you would be affected or you would be carried by your emotions, so you should avoid using strong emotions when writing your letter of complaint.
When do you think uh is it when do you think it is necessary na to write a letter of complaint? Example,
I think
nakapalit ko Lacoste rice cooker from Yiwu and Imboto. So kano sa man ko maka-write og letter of complaint? Letter of complaint dayon ko.
you should write a letter of complaint if the product doesn't meet the standards that it should present to you.
Okay, now class, thank you. In writing a letter of complaint, it is not necessary that upon receiving the yung kanang full nga product na guba na no defective product, you will write a letter of complaint right away. No, you exhaust mo na all remedies. Okay, so man na exhausting remedies. Nakapalit kag Lacoste. Balik sa Lacoste nga rice cooker. Nakapalit kag Lacoste nga rice cooker sa Yiwo. So ato sa ka sa Yiwo, balik sa niya dito, kundi dawaton, it is the time that you write a letter of complaint addressed to the manager. If the manager will not act on that issue, on that complaint, that is the time that you will write a letter of complaint to the DTI. And of course, magpalaban ka sa ila dito. Okay? And kuan lang, kuan ko lang ni siya ha. I-appeal ko lang so that you will have some sort of idea as to what is a complaint and what is an information. For some of you who will be taking up law in the future, lahi ni sila. Pag complaint din siya, gina-file yan sa fiscal, no? Sa prosecutor. We call that complaint. It is filed by the offended party. We call that complaint. It is indicated to kinsay accused, unsay nahitabo, unsay criminal act nga na buhat. Pag ma-file na gani na siya sa korte, it is no more a complaint. It is called information. That's why if someone will use the term informations, correct yan siya. Though in normal course, wala yung term na informations, no? Information lang yun na siya, regardless of plural yan. But in the kanang ki-file sa korte, we call that information. Kung daghan informations, so acceptable yan siya. That's why you have to be liberal in the use of English language, no? Dili mo kanang kuan nga mali na. Remember, there is no such thing as wrong pronunciation, no? Kung kuan na siya, because we are the second language na natin ang English. So are you saying that the standard, di ba katong sa TikTok na sikat na siya saying, I really agree to that, saying that the standard of English language is the American English? So are we going to say, unsa man na ilang English dito ang written man no, wala kita the written. So mali na to written. Kailan dito tama written. So na pagpasa sa ila. So there is no standard because it is language. Wala ginay nga na. And later on you will really sa latter part of your life in the near future, no, as you widen your consciousness, language does not matter anymore when it comes to being correct in grammar, being correct in pronunciation. What matters is that you are able to convey whatever you want to convey. Ona sa di kay ko isik about mali sige na lang no, kanang dapat ma-express lang gyud mo ideas, but that is also a good thing if you practice good speaking skills kasi nga gamit ng pod nato na siya in our dealings. Then apology, of course naman. Ano sa ning apology? Ay, di ba ikaw pa Diyos? Naman naka Diyos, no? Apology? Nagsulat kag letter of complaint dito sa Yiwu manager. And then manager will in turn write not an acknowledgement letter but a letter of apology. Apologize ko kay kanang kamuhang Lacoste nga rice cooker Nibuto di ay sa inyo. Sorry for the inconvenience it has cost you. Murag call center lang no. So na kay call center agent mo ka ng murag signal gani. At sila ang signal nindot kayo sila ang signal no. ATM directive tawag kay pwede rin mo ma-record ang kuan ang show. Sample wala ka sa balay yan ang alas 2 hangtod alas 3 favorite nimo na nga show. I-set lang nimo imong box nga i-record na. Pagbalik mo na recorded na. Sana all. Kada diri nagantos patag kuan YouTube. Tigtanaw daig TV. Of course, you have to a letter of apology, of course naman. Kabalunutan, no need to explain na nascribe po ng letter of apology. No, you're going to apologize. But of course naman, when you apologize to the person whom you have offended or for a product that you have sold but caused inconvenience sa other party, you have also to provide the steps that you shall take in order for you to correct such infraction. So panano, I regret, di ba? Regret. But also, you provide a recommendation. What are you going to take in order for you to avert such blunder, no? To correct such a blunder. And of course, resignation. Kana sa mga resignation, pag mag-apply sir, di ba? Gahi ka. Pag mo resign. So then, hi. So, kumusta na mo? Kaya pa? Last na lang tayo. Memo. Kasi wala pa natawag, kaya itong pantawagon. Loisad. Ima. I'll be showing you an example of a memo. Which is already, I think, available naman dun sa ano niyo. Just read the module. Apo yung nagbalik ko. Sige, discuss dito. Common elements in a memorandum. It must have the to, date, subject, and of course, from whom. If you look at the memorandum of mga government offices, dire usually na siya. For example, sa DepEd, na usually dire kang Lola Liling pangalan, no? But there are memoranda wherein they indicate here from, then the name of the issuing authority of this memorandum. One thing that you shall take note in a memorandum is that wala na mga dear, no? Wala na mga dear niyan. Wala nang sincerely. Wala na mga salutations, etc. Mga complimentary clause. But straight to the point. First paragraph, you must have the basis, no? If there is a law na where you based this memo from or to from, basta mo na ibutang diha. Okay, and this one is an example of the memo I wrote for Mrs. Chang to sign regarding the MCM CUP 2021. I think early this year. So ayan, basis mo. Ano nagmemo man kang sa basihan ani? Because there is what? An event. So you state which event or what event is that. After which you will have to you now elaborate on your purpose. What is the purpose of this memo? For you to what do you want to achieve by this memo? Yan. To excuse the students, no, from their classes. Then napakidugang. Basa-basa lang ni. Absabtan na rin ninyo ni guys. If kulangan ni pagngita dito sa DepEd ng mga memo. Kung saan yung CC? Call center? Kung saan eh? Credits? Ano naman ko ito credits? Ano ko ito credits ani? Sila ko ani. Si director, si cameraman, this carbon copy, no? So these people here must have a copy of this memo. Okay? Kuha. So, di ba kita mo sa email ninyo? Di ba? A memo could also be sent through email. Now, in your email, in the subject part or the recipient part, I'm sorry, there is yan, recipient. Pakitaan to mo ba para ma-aware kayo. Ganahan ko ano yung kuan sa email. Ikagutom agi ate ba ni? Di na credits class ah. Ayan. Tan, 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 na. Sorry class kay pago nga among internet dere. Kaway PLDT. Asa na to yan. Now take a look at this class. This is ayan, 2, no? Kani kay daghang kog email nga associated with this account class, so daghan na siya drop down. Pag wala yan, tanawa daghan kaya na siya. What is this CC? Carbon copy. So this the people. This is the main subject. Sample. Ayan. Si Dennis Bradford. Tapos gusto na ako maka-receive pod si kinsa. Sheena Gabriel C. Ani nga ko ang email. Tapos gusto po na ako maka-receive si Fiona sa akong email pero dili niya makitaan kinsa akong gisendan lain. Dili makitaan ni Dennis Bradford nga nag-send ko kang Fiona sad. Click lang yung BCC, the blind carbon copy, no? So yan, Fiona. So when this email reaches Mr. Bradford, he will be notified. He can see that I have also sent this email to Sheena Gabriel C. But he will not be able to see that I have sent this email to Fiona May Samson. Nakuha ninyo? CC, BCC, 2. Blind carbon copy. Will Sheena Gabriel C know that I have sent this email to Fiona May Samson? No. Dili na siya. So you will learn more of these in your media and information literacy with Miss J. Felizarta. Ako man dapat sa inyo, so balhin ko kay maulo ko sa inyo. Na may questions? Dito ra tataman class.